Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Good morning, good morning. It is time for Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm so glad you're joining me this morning. Is your head spinning? Because mine is. Like as if the pace of news or events that is happening couldn't get any faster. Just when you thought it couldn't get any faster, it gets faster. I didn't even know what to cover today, because I have so much in my brain right now with everything that's going on. Of course, where do I start? I mean, I think the biggest thing that is standing out is the launching of 2,000 soldiers into Minnesota and the DHS, Kristi Noem herself, boots on the ground there, wrangling up illegals, and all in connection with the Somali fraud and the daycare fraud stuff and the home health care fraud stuff. But, you know, throw some Ecuadorians in there too, because they've got some Ecuadorians they're picking up. They're basically picking up everybody and anybody. And so that is just crazy. If you go on X, X is just littered with ICE videos. And so that's crazy. my mind's going, what's going on here? How does this link into the scenario that we see? And I guess that's what I'm trying to capture, because it's all one kind of big puzzle. Everything happening at once like this, there's a benefit, there's a link. And exposing the fraud right now, I mean, the first thing I thought of was, well, if you want to win the election, this is a good way to do it, because what has happened since this limelight has been shined on the Somali issue through citizen journalist Nick Shirley, since his content took off, right? And I just find it peculiar because this fraud has been going on a very long time. So the timing is of interest, right? So first we got this, just this bombshell report from Nick Shirley featuring all these daycares that have been swindling money out of the state for decades, really. It's been going on a long time. Anyway, we saw that. And then it kind of went quiet for a little while, right? And I thought, okay, are we going to get anything here? Is anybody like, I don't care until I see arrests. Because another strongly worded post, doesn't do much for me. I don't know about you at this point, right? But here's the interesting thing. I did see a flood of citizen videos, posts about how incredibly, especially, interestingly enough, from American white men, just a little bit pissed off, just a little bit mad about paying taxes, working their whole life to find out that these scammers are starting daycares and getting big rich, right? That it just it hit. So we have that going on. And I said I was looking at that and I thought, if you wanted to win the primaries, this would be a great way to do it, is to answer the call to these videos, to this theme going on social media, right? What a great way to get, to win the primaries is to really make a splash by cleaning up the illegal immigrant racket and clearing up fraud, right? So that's the first thing I thought, but I actually think it goes even deeper than that. So I'm still marinating on that whole thing. Then we still have Venezuela, right? There was an interesting post that was kind of, I'm pretty sure it was going viral by an organization called Prometheus, where there's a lady there who has been studying basically the central banks for her whole career, and that the issue of Venezuela is much more complex than just a regime change, which I figured, with Trump, it's never what it seems on the surface. There's always these other moving parts behind it, this objective behind it. And so her take was really interesting. She's talking about the fact that this is actually a big hit on the central bank of the UK, and that this is more about the organization of central banks than anything else. Of course, because Venezuela is one of the richest companies or countries in resources, right? Lots of oil, lots of minerals. So that's still developing. And I didn't know what to cover today. I'm like, what do I even, with culture shaping, the lead topic, what do I even talk about, right? This is crazy. And then I see that apparently we're going to be buying Greenland too. It's like, okay, and then we have all the stuff in health, which goes without saying. I'm going to cover all of that stuff in the second hour. But wow, there's so much going on. But then, drum roll, right? Candace Owens dropped an episode again. And I've been sitting on this feeling since the Charlie Kirk assassination. Okay. I've been sitting on this feeling. And honestly, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. because it's just a rough topic to talk about, but I have to. I have to talk about it. And this, it's just such a strange time that we're living through. We feel like we have evolved out of history. Like, oh, the church doesn't have any control over people anymore. Oh, we don't worship the sun anymore. Where it's not like Egyptian times, it's not about the god of Ra or whatever, right? After this show today, you're going to think, man, it's all the same battles. It's all the same battles. They just look a little different now because we're in a different time. So with that, I'm going to take you into a little, on a little ride here, because it's become just so blatantly obvious to me. So I'll ask you the question, okay? You can draw your own conclusions. But I'm really starting to think, that this religion thing is really just kind of a cover. These churches, these mega churches, these powerful groups accumulating extreme wealth and wielding power in our culture. I'm starting to ask the question, like, maybe these things are just fronts for criminal operations. So you remember a few weeks back when I was talking about that documentary that I had watched. It was called The Business of Religion. Let me refresh your memory. Here's a little clip from it, from the documentary, The Business of Religion. Here it is.
Copeland and George Pearson, we are standing on the church's tarmac. We came to your service this morning. We became members and paid our tithes. We want to know about the 19,000 square foot parsonage that was not in your original Revival Capital of the World documentation that you raised tens of millions on. So we are standing on your tarmac. We're here. We're waiting for you. We want to know about Wisdom Heights, the elderly center that was never built.
So a short little clip there, where he's questioning these mega churches, mega Christian churches, right? This happens to be Kenneth Copeland's operation, where, it's just ridiculous. Okay. This nonprofit shield, right, allows these pastors to accumulate extreme wealth. And that's one thing. You can think, oh, well, it's a greedy pastor or something, it's just a greedy pastor that wants to accumulate wealth and it's all for himself or whatever. But I wish it stopped there. Because you see, religion is weaponized. It is the oldest mechanism of control over people. Don't do this, do this. Your pastor says this, you do this, right? It is the oldest weapon to control a group of people, right? What better way than to prop yourself up as the leader, as the anointed one that leads the flock, right? You can't step out of line. There's a lot of protection in these groups, right? This group, once you're a part of the group, well, there's a lot of protection. There's a lot of, just support too. Emotional support, spiritual support, but also money. And the status of these churches that they get, the 501c, if you remember, I covered a few weeks back about, the quantity of money that these megachurches are accumulating is, this is some powerful money, some very powerful money. So what I'm starting to see here, and maybe you're seeing it too, is that it's almost like these different religions serve as a shield to some criminal activity. And I'll tell you what I mean. And it's not just one religion. Oh, no. It's a pattern. It's a system that several religions are using. And, I'll tell you more about it when we come back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. I'm so glad you're here. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Visit naturallyinspiredstore.com. We still have over 25 buy one, get one free products. All kinds of things that you should have on hand in your wellness cabinet. Do you have a wellness cabinet? I do. You should see mine. It's insane. It's actually insane, but I love it because I always have something, whether I have, vitamins, minerals, homeopathic stuff, herbs. I got it all, man. I've built an arsenal, and you should have one too. And we all should, because we need to have those go-to tools available to us. So over 25 products available 2 for 1. Now's the time to take advantage of that while supplies last. We've already run out of the collagen, the liquid collagen as buy one, get one. But there's plenty of other things there. So take advantage today. If you have any questions about the products or about the community that you get to take part in just for being a customer of Naturally Inspired, just text me at 720-303-8868. All right. Gosh, like I said, I don't even want to talk about this. But listen, there's a very clear pattern going on here. Okay? There's a very clear pattern. Watch this clip. This is Nick Shirley. We'll get to him later. This is Nick Shirley talking to David, who was really the man that collected the data on Minnesota when it came to daycares and healthcare operations and the fraud. So he was featured in Nick Shirley's video, and he really did collect all the data. So anyway, here's Nick talking to him. Take a listen.
This Minnesota's done. It will be Somalia.
Like, we know the fraud attracted them, but initially what attracted them to come here, because a lot of them came underneath Obama with what was happening in Somalia. A lot of refugees were taken into the United States. What attracted them to come straight to Minnesota? It's freezing up here.
I think part of the reason was that the churches, especially the Lutheran Church, got involved with bringing over a lot of refugees, and it started back with the Hmong population, which was very large in St. Paul, and I was happy to have them here. They worked, they opened businesses, they were good community members, they're good citizens. And so I think they leaned on the churches to say, hey, we need to bring these people over because they're refugees.
Oh, you want to believe that the church was doing a good thing, right? You just want to believe, oh, well, they're just, doing a good thing. No, you guys, this is a racket, okay? Politicians, the Democratic Party, what they did is they approached churches to facilitate this, because it's not just about the replacement theory. It's not just, don't believe me. I don't care, but it's pretty easy to put the piece. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to see how this is working. Okay. So, they ask, do some charity work, some NGO work, right? Like, oh yeah, do some charity work. No, it's not about the replacement theory when it comes to just elections. It's about money and getting elected. So it's not just about harvesting votes, you guys. It's about getting elected, taking these immigrants in as refugees and then holding them by the hand and showing them how to apply for government funding in order to get these huge amounts of money for their daycare, for their medical non-emergency transport businesses, for their home health care businesses, where they can siphon money out of the taxpayer, funnel it into these fake businesses, and then, it's a business just making a donation to the Democratic Party. I mean, now there are reports that allegedly even key people at the UN were in on this little racket. So flood our country with illegals so we can take them by the hand, set up fake businesses for them, funnel taxpayer money into it, and the fake businesses donate back. This is a whole racket, and it isn't just in Minnesota. It isn't just there. It's in every state. This is a system. And man, it was working. And it has been working, right? These immigrants are taking over states now. Also that the Democratic Party can get funded. And I'm sure there's other people doing it too. I'm sure it's not just on the left. I mean, why put a system that works? Why keep it just on one side? Why? When it works so well, and these dumb taxpayers like you and I, we just keep funding it, right? We don't want to go to jail for not paying our taxes. But like a rudimentary search, okay, on the Lutheran Church. Total assets, you guys, $774.6 million. Some big money, religion, big money. And I think, I was first tipped off, if you go to the esoteric of religion and you really trace back roots, to Catholicism and the pagan aspect of it and all of the different things. I always had a keen skepticism, I'm skeptical of people who say that you have to be part of a church in order to have a deep connection to God. I've always just had an aversion to that. Just no. So I guess that's where my skepticism started, is just the esoteric. When you really go back into history and look at some of the rituals around religion, I'm just not sure, just doesn't quite sit right with me. And then fast forward into today's world, and I'm just a little skeptical because this is a ton of money. And there are churches everywhere. And these are massive buildings. These are not very few. There are some good churches out there, I'm sure. I hate to lump everything into one category here. But Jason and I always say this, like, holy man, the budget on that sucker. That's a big building. How many people are actually going to that church every weekend and funding it? It just doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Unless, of course, there's more going on here, which is precisely what I'm getting at. So, maybe recently, one of the things that also didn't sit that well with me was, actually, let's go to the Candace clip first. What time is it? Yes, we have plenty of time. All right, so let's dive into it. So Candace has her show today, and this is what she says. Take a listen.
All for many reasons, because one of them being he's a sexual deviant. He's also been indicted for crimes by the state of Arizona, federal crimes, for which he was recently pardoned by President Donald Trump. I think it's fair to assume that a person who commits crimes in the past might commit crimes in the future, or I guess allegedly committed crimes. I think those court cases are still moving through. I think that's a perfectly logical assumption that a person who's involved in doing the wrong thing might keep that up. A person that seems motivated by money, a person who factually was in debt and was having his payments garnished at Turning Point USA, who then blinks and becomes a millionaire working for a charity, might be a little bit shady. I think Tyler Boyer, it is a logical conclusion that he is at best a very shady character. I'm going to stand by that. 10 toes down. Now, because I was hyper-fixed on Tyler Boyer, I decided to ask Erica in person during our sit-down how she met Tyler. It was actually, I had 3 questions when I went in there that I wanted to get the answer to. That was actually my number 1 question, because I don't know much about the story of how Tyler met Charlie Kirk, and I now desperately wish, but I remember that I could remember what Charlie told me about that. How did they get linked up? And I felt that me asking Erica that question, she might be able to provide a lot of insight to who Tyler Boyer was during the time he was with Charlie Kirk, why, maybe even before he was with Charlie Kirk, and why he got involved with Charlie Kirk. And of course, as we know, Erica knew Tyler for years before her and Charlie began dating, right? Both she and Tyler have been honest about that fact, particularly citing Trump's 2015 presidential rally as an event where the two of them attended together, right?
Okay, so see, I had this feeling from the beginning. So Tyler Boyer, he's LDS. Okay, he's LDS, and he really wanted to get Charlie, because Charlie was a Chicago guy. He really wanted to get Charlie to Arizona. Well, Arizona is a huge LDS hub, second to Utah. Okay. And it turns out, I didn't know this, Turning Point USA, and this is from the Salt Lake Tribune, Tyler Boyer has been cited saying that 50% of TPUSA's employees are LDS. And I just find that interesting. I'm like I said, I'm starting to think here, like, I feel like from the landscape of the situation that we witness in our country, that it's quite possible that some of these religions act as shields, covers, if you will, for pretty much like crime syndicates. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'll do a better job explaining what I mean when we come back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. Stay tuned.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
We had a great weekly wellness workshop last night talking about weight loss in the new year. We have several protocols for your choosing. You can go to naturallyinspiredstore.com and pick your protocol. We've put together these packages and they all have free shipping on them. Okay, so any one of the protocols that you pick come with free shipping. If you are dealing with inflammation, if you are dealing with fatigue, whatever it is, and we're adding more protocols to make it simple as possible all the time. So you can head on over there to naturallyinspiredstore.com, pick your protocol. That gets you into the Naturally Inspired community. And next week, you can join us on our weekly wellness workshop, Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. If you have any questions about the protocols or you think, I can't find a protocol for what I need, just text me, 720-303-8868. All right, let's dive back into this. Let's go to part 2 of what Candace is saying. She's talking about this relationship, right? There's a lot of holes in the story here of who knows who, when they met, how this all came together. And this doesn't imply that anybody's guilty of anything. It's just an interesting development, an ongoing investigation here, right? An ongoing investigation. We discovered some other things, about that she said, okay, I went down that road and that's no longer a thing. I think this particular congressman was actually where he said he was. We have the film. So it's an ongoing investigation. We don't know where it's going. We don't know if anybody's guilty in all of these scenarios, but we do know there are holes in people's stories. And so I think we should be looking at them. I'm not sure what this investigation is going to reveal, but perhaps it's around religion. Take a listen to this.
Standing behind Donald Trump in Arizona at his 2015 July rally, which I should mention also her mother, Lori Francevy, is in the background. So the three of them have known each other since at least July 2015 publicly. So I asked Erica how she met him. Her answer was that she met him at the 2015 rally because they were both standing behind Trump. And I immediately corrected her. I said, that's not possible. It's not possible because Tyler discussed knowing you already at the, if we're calling it funeral rally, I don't even know if that's kind of what it was, like a funeral political rally. Tyler got on stage and he told the audience that Erica had called him asking how she could get involved and that he then made a decision to put her behind Donald Trump. Here is Tyler making that statement in his own words at Charlie Kirk's memorial.
At his wedding, I told the story of talking Charlie into moving to Arizona. He was an adamant Chicago boy. I needed to break that. Selfishly, I wanted him to love Arizona because I had recently convinced him to move Turning Point USA to Arizona. It was a hard sell at first, and that was until I hosted the first Trump rally in Trump rally history right here in Arizona in 2015. I got a call from Miss Erica Kirk, Miss Arizona 2012. I just want to help, she said. So naturally, I put her right behind the president at that first rally.
Okay.
So some interesting development here. I just, I don't know the connections, right? But I'm asking the question, could Charlie have been kind of in the middle of the hot seat here, with so much influence coming from LDS, who that church happens to be worth, listen to me, $240 billion. And you can look that up. And they have built such an empire through an investment private equity firm. They own a ton of real estate. They have an investment portfolio called Ensign Peak Advisors. And so they have accumulated so much wealth. Again, from the documentary, this is not my information here, from the documentary, The Religion Business, there is a lot of loopholes around the church exemption that allow them to make a lot of money and not pay any taxes. And so this would be a good place for, say, political people to embed themselves into for a lot of protection within a group, within a group that has a persona as do-gooders, right? Whether it's Christian, and I'm not picking on any one religion here, okay? I'm not picking on, because listen, look at, there's a lot of suspicious stuff here. Let's go to the next clip. This is just a few weeks back. I'm sure you are familiar with this guy.
Operation that we're sending like 5 soldiers to the Missionary Training Center in Provo, Utah, and then to the Language Training Center to learn to speak a language. And then we're sending them into the field as Mormon missionaries to spy on the populace, to also establish relationships with church members there that could support clandestine and covert military operations. I remember at BYU, returned missionaries would always say, yeah, it was really tough down in Central and South America because everybody would point at us and go, oh, you're CIA kind of things. And I just thought, well, that's ridiculous. Why would they think that? You're walking around in a suit and a tie, or short sleeves with a tie on, and you've got your badge on, elders so-and-so, right? And you're doing that. Why would they think you were CIA?
Why are LDS missionaries thought of, presumed to be CIA abroad? That's a new one for me. But this is David Morehouse on this podcast on I forget his last name. First name's Danny, as a podcast. And he's explaining how this operation works, right? They gather people, they put them through the system, they go away on a mission. Okay. They go away on a mission and they become higher trained and skilled. And, guess who's LDS? You can look it up. Nick Shirley's LDS. So I just think that's coincidental. We have Turning Point USA, who is more than 50% of their employees come from LDS. You have Tyler Boyer, who's LDS. You have Charlie persuaded down to Arizona, which is a major hub of LDS. And I think that's interesting, given the outcome of what's happened and the pressure that Charlie Kirk was under. And I'm just wondering, this is the clip I thought I was going to play. I'll play it real quick before we go to break. Do you remember this from a few weeks ago?
I was dealing with some various issues, and dealing with bipolar also. So it would take the ideas I had and have me take them to an extreme where I would forget about the protection of the people around me and myself. So So I wanted to come and take accountability. Sometimes people aren't that knowledgeable about the bipolar and the cause or what causes it and the way you act when you have this disease. So it's like if you left the house and you left your kid at the house and your kid went and messed up the kitchen and messed up the garage and messed up the living room. Now when you get back, it's your responsibility because that's your child. And that's the way I look at it. It's like I gotta go clean up the kitchen, I gotta clean up the living room, I gotta clean up the garage. Yeah, and it's a big deal for me as a man to come and take accountability for all the things that I've said, and I really just appreciate you embracing me with open arms and allowing me to make amends.
Now, of course, why, Kanye has made some really public comments about, Jews in general. And why would he go back and beg for forgiveness like this? Because his wealth is being stripped of him, right? He lost deals. He was being targeted. Candace said a similar thing about having a handler when she was at PragerU. And again, I'm not picking on any one religion. Listen, this is my point. This is going on everywhere through the churches. They are wielding their power. And this makes so much more sense to me now because you see people willing to bend a knee to other religions, right? Are they building allies within each other? Do they have allies within each other? Like we have this little crime syndicate that's like, again, let's think about it from like a Tony Soprano type of mafioso point of view. I do you a favor, you do me a favor. I do you a favor. What's going on here? Because this is a ton of money and clearly a ton of power. So, what exactly is going on here? You got these mega churches. These pastors are living in, just the most craziest mansions, right? And millions of dollars are being found in their walls. Okay? Is the church part of this? Is this the mechanism they're using to funnel money in, to steal money, to launder money? Like and the power, right? The power here. Like I said, I think Nick Shirley's great. I don't think he would know, how he's being used or why he's being propped up. But as that David Morehouse explained, there's a little system within the LDS church. And why do people abroad think LDS missionaries are CIA? What's happening? We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
I'm just getting in all kinds of trouble today. But I've been sitting on this whole religion thing for a while. Something feels very off here, especially in the Charlie Kirk assassination. I'm not liking it. I don't know if Candace is onto that yet. She hasn't implied anything. I'm going off of intuition here. I'm going off of little tiny breadcrumb clues that I've been picking up over the weeks. Something doesn't smell right here. And I don't think it's just LDS. I don't think it's just the Jewish religion. I don't think it's just Christianity and the mega church. I don't think it's just Catholicism. I think it's all of them. And that would make sense because people are people. And I'll tell you, there are gangsters of every creed, every religion. There are criminals, every color. It doesn't mean the whole group is bad. It doesn't mean the whole group is evil, but it's pretty evil to corrupt spirituality and connection to God for this kind of service. Like, why is Tyler Boyer? Why did he get pardoned? He's LDS like that. What? People are willing to. It doesn't seem to me like it's about faith. It doesn't seem to me like it's about faith. It seems to me like it's more about business. Anyway, let's move on because it is time for our naturally inspired moment. And today I've got a great one. I want to talk about the I guess it's a lie. Imagine that. Let's talk about another lie. But it is. And the lie is multitasking. I was listening to something over the break and, about human behavior and all this stuff. And the topic of multitasking came up. And, especially as moms, I feel like, we've been told that we need to be good multitaskers. You got to be a good multitasker. To be a good mom, you got to be a good multitasker. You got to be able to do this, and all the balls in the air, right? You got to be a boss babe and a mom. And guess what? Turns out multitasking's not even a thing. You can't do it. You can't do it. And in fact, the less you try to multitask, the more efficient you're going to be, the more focused you're going to be, and the more present you're going to be. Okay. So the goal should be, how when we're having a conversation or, we're doing something or talking about something, if we're not totally dialed in, we will have about 25% of our brain thinking about other things while we're trying to focus on that one thing. We all deal with that. So, if you're sitting in a meeting at work or say, and you're trying to explain yourself while you're worrying about if people are understanding you, while you're worrying about if there's something on your shirt, if it's hot in the room, if it's cold in the room, why someone's smiling, why someone's frowning. Like, you've got all these thoughts coming in. And if you're doing a good job, 75% of your focus is on what you're actually speaking, what you're actually trying to execute. The other 25% of your brain is worrying about all the other things. Now, if we can shrink that 25% and bring it into the main function of what you're doing, well, that's called flow state. That's called really stepping into your purpose and being really laser focused. And that's how you get to be operating in excellence. Okay. So today I want to talk about some strategies to do that because I'm working on this myself. This is something I really want to work on. I want to get that 25% shrunken down as much as possible. So here's the truth about multitasking. Number one, multitasking fragments the brain. So every task switch costs time and clarity. So the brain needs continuity to think deeply, to solve problems, and to feel calm, and to express creativity. So you're shorting your creativity when you're multitasking. So it actually becomes more effort and less progress. Number 2, focus signals safety to the nervous system. So single tasking tells your body, I'm not under any threat. I am focused in on this. I don't have to spend any of my brain power living in the future. When you are thinking about the future while you're trying to operate in the present, you're going to experience anxiety, you're going to experience distraction, and you're not going to be able to deliver on whatever it is the task that you're doing in flow state at 100% focus. Okay? So single tasking tells your body, I'm not under threat. That shifts you into rest and digest, where learning, healing, and creativity happen. You got to be in rest and digest for that process to play out. The outcome of being able to single task is less anxiety and more energy into what you really are trying to achieve. Number 3, attention is a biological resource. So what you focus on determines your hormone output, your stress chemistry, your decision quality. Scattered attention equals scattered results, right? So focus directs your life force into what you want it to be into, right? So fewer inputs, number 4, fewer inputs create better decisions. So constant notifications, right? They train your reactivity. Focused blocks train intentional leadership. So over time, thoughts and emotions. So focused blocks train intentional leadership over your time, thoughts, and emotion. The outcome of that is you respond instead of react. So again, we all have to work at that, because our conscious mind is constantly taking in information while we're trying to operate. And so we have these 25% thoughts on other things around us that take away from our effectiveness. Number 5, one thing done well beats 10 things done halfway, right? So it's kind of like an approach that I found through school where teachers seem to be targeted at trying to fix weaknesses in kids, in learning. We tend to want to fix weaknesses. So if kids struggling with something, then we really hammer it home. Let's get better at that. Let's get better at that. When a better strategy is to strengthen what is already good. Right? Let's shine the light on the strength and diligently work at the weaknesses, keep putting into it consistent action over time. But the focus of building up the strength, by default, it makes the weaker point better. It improves it just by default because you have this great strength that you're magnifying. So it's much like that, if we can focus in with laser focus, it brings that clarity. And then when you go to do other things afterwards, again, one at a time is the approach, not this, halfway effort on many things. So move on. It helps you, progress compounds when you choose one priority, when you finish it. I call it closing the circle. You can start a project and don't start another project until you've closed the circle. And we can do that on the micro level. When you do that on the micro level, you will just be amazed at the overall impact on your daily life. So instead of hopping out of bed and not making your bed, running around crazy in the morning or whatever, allow yourself, set the intention for the day to close the circle on everything. So when you get out of bed, you make the bed. When you go to the bathroom and do your routine in the bathroom, put everything away, right? Just those little actions, they develop a pattern and a neural pathway for you to just on automatic, close the circle with everything that you do. It just brings so much more cohesion into your daily life. And then it also trains the brain. So when you are focused on something like a task, like a meeting or a conversation, or you need to sit down and write something or whatever it is, your neural pathways are now being trained to focus in on the one task at hand and close the circle with it. But it is like a muscle. This practice of closing the circle is a muscle. I'm always working on it because the temptation to leave the circle open, especially when you've been living that way for years, is always there. It's always there to not make the bed. It's always there to not put stuff back. It's always a choice to leave a circle open. But I'm telling you, if you can get into the rhythm of closing the circle with everything that you do, it just brings so much more cohesion to your everyday life. So it also builds confidence, and then it builds momentum towards your more long-term goals as well. So better results and with less exhaustion. It doesn't feel good to do a bunch of things, 50% of your capability. And I've been in that situation. I'm sure you have too over the years, where you've got so much on your plate. You feel like you're just barely keeping each of those things going because you only have so much time in the day and you're trying to tend to them all. And it's just running you ragged, right? You just feel tired all the time. So the best approach is like cut the fat. What commitment can you let go of? And then what can you do to develop this habit of making sure that you're closing your circle every time? This, false story that we should all be great multitaskers, and that if you're not a good you're not smart if you're not a good multitasker, you're not successful if you want to be successful, you have to be a good multitasker. It's a lie. Our brains do not work that way. In fact, the more laser focused we are on any given task, the better we are at it. So don't kid yourself that you have to be this multitasker to be successful. No, be present in the moment. And the more you practice being present in the moment, the less distraction you'll allow in. You'll be able to whittle down that 25% when you really need to focus in, when it really matters, when you're being creative, when you need to show up and be at your very best. You'll be able to keep all those kind of intrusive thoughts, I guess is what people call them, distraction, be able to keep those out and perform at your best capability. So don't be fooled by multitasking. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. I'm so glad you're joining me today. We'll be right back for hour 2. You're not going to want to miss it.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I hope you're having a great morning. If you missed the first hour, you got to go back and listen to it. A little crazy, I know. But man, I had to get that off my chest because I just see it. And maybe I didn't do the greatest job of explaining, exactly what I mean around this, because I think I'm still kind of downloading it, if you know what I mean. Like, you see stuff in the news and you see a story here, you see a story. If you're like me, it's like all these little breadcrumb stories. That's what I call them, breadcrumb stories. And it's like there's a sliver of truth there. And how does this connect to the other breadcrumb, right? And that's what I've been seeing around religion for, months now. It's like, what's going on here? Why do these guys got so much money? Why do they have so much power? Why, just why is this shaping our culture so much when in the American culture, we have this, I can't even believe we haven't talked about this yet because it's such a big part of America's founding was freedom of religion, right? Free to worship whichever way you want. But also don't mess with these powerful entities because, hey, we'll bankrupt you. That's just like, okay. Like, wow, it's like the age-old power, people in power. We don't think of people in power of being in the church anymore. We think of them as being in government. We think of them as being, the heads of big CEOs, right? But maybe there's some other power players here that we're just kind of skimming over, right? I guess that's my point. What's happening here? Like, what is this? This is a lot of money and a lot of power. Before we head into the American moment for today, or the Americana moment today, I just want to play this last clip here, because this is what I find peculiar as well. Freedom of religion, of course, that's our Americana, American culture moment today. But also check this out.
It's our great honor to welcome the Honorable Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani. We all hope and pray for his success and the success of the city of New York, and especially for success in staying a friend with the Jewish community of New York City. We welcome Mayor-elect Mamdani.
So how is that not cultural appropriation? Right? And openly, he took his oath on the Quran. This is a Muslim mayor, right? Wearing a yarmulke. I don't even go to church. Okay. I'll tell you, I don't go to church. My church is here on my homestead. That's my church. And so I go there every day. I would not wear a burqa or even a head covering. I wouldn't. I know a lot of people, they do that, they'll do that as a, an olive branch or a signaling of unity or something. I would not do that because that's not me. That's not my belief. And I don't want anything to get crossed here. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anything to get crossed here. I don't want God to think that this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to dress in a costume that would be a costume to me because I don't believe in it. It doesn't mean I don't respect your right to practice your religion. I absolutely do. But I'm not wearing a burqa. I'm not wearing even a hijab or whatever. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I feel very strongly about that. That is my freedom of religion. Okay. So I don't quite understand if this is indeed about spirituality and religion, and you feel so much, passion about it, that this is what you run on as a politician. Why the yarmulke? Why? Right? Because I've checked out the Quran. I'm aware of its a lot of its tenets and whatnot. That's not acceptable. So I'm getting. Why are politics and religion so interwoven? If this is not really, truly, honestly about business, because that's what I think it's all about, and I think it's a pretty dangerous game. On top of that. So while we're talking about it, let's talk about American culture, because you do indeed have a culture here in America. There's a lot of people that want you to think that you shouldn't have a culture. You don't have a culture. Don't claim your culture. Yeah, you don't claim your culture because they want to. Okay? Stuff drives me crazy, you guys. It's obvious here. Think about that clip that we played from David, Nick Shirley's data guy, where he's telling you, there isn't going to be a Minnesota. It's going to be, and they've changed them, even the flag, right? They've changed the flag to something that looks more like the Somalian flag. What is going on here? Right? Add in the layer that, the religion of Islam, one of their tenets is to conquer, turn everybody else into a Muslim or else. So, it's just, now's the time to claim your culture. Now is the time to claim your culture. There has never been a better time. And so I have to think, too, that possibly, just maybe, Trump understands that is happening as well. And cleaning up a lot of this fraud will help people with a little bit more courage to claim American culture, Okay, so let's get into what Americans think freedom of religion means. So let's go into the history of it, okay, a little bit. Origins of freedom of religion in America. Of course, it began with religious persecution. Early settlers didn't come to America because religion was easy. They came because state-controlled religion in Europe was coercive. So groups fleeing persecution included Puritans, Quakers, Baptists, Catholics. They were persecuted by state churches that forced belief, collected church taxes, punished dissent. Lesson learned: when government controls religion, conscience is violated. The founders separated church power from state power not because they were anti-religion, they were anti-state religion. And this is primarily why the Islamic religion is not conducive in the West, because its very doctrine requires conquering. Those aren't my words. So the First Amendment: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. This contains two protections: no national church and no interference with personal belief or practice. James Madison and Thomas Jefferson believed faith must be voluntary. Coerced belief corrupts religion itself. So Jefferson described it as a wall of separation, not to keep religion out of society, but to keep government out of conscience. Freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. This distinction matters. The original meaning was you may believe or not believe. You may practice publicly or privately. You may speak religiously in civic life. Government cannot compel or suppress belief. Religion was seen as a moral foundation for liberty, not a threat to it. So what do Americans think of freedom, that freedom of religion means today? A little different. So common modern interpretations: freedom of conscience, closest to original meaning. Many Americans believe it means you cannot be forced to believe, you cannot be punished for belief, you can live your faith openly. This includes speech, dress, worship, moral decisions. Religion must be private. Modern reinterpretation means some Americans believe religion should stay out of public life. Religious expression equals inappropriate in civic spaces. This view is not original to the founding and developed mainly in the 20th century through court interpretation. Government neutrality means absence of religion. This interpretation argues religious symbols are unconstitutional. Faith-based arguments are illegitimate in public debate. Historically, the founders did not believe neutrality meant silence. They believed it meant non-coercion. So why Americans disagree so strongly today? Because the Supreme Court of the United States decisions over decades expanded and reinterpreted the First Amendment. So there's cultural secularization, immigration, and religious pluralism, fear of religious dominance, court rulings redefining, quote, establishment. Why do I have a feeling like, these old battles, these holy wars are reemerging, on the surface, and that this is going to become something that's widely debated here very quickly? Because, of course, we're seeing public displays of practicing religion, but interrupting society. Yes, you can have a mosque. Yes, you can have a temple. Yes, you can have a church. But the idea is to not infringe on other people's, rights to exist and travel Specifically, I'm talking about the shutting down of streets for Muslim prayer in the streets and whatnot, and blasting out, prayer calls and whatnot. I don't know. America's going to have to sort this out because it's right up in our faces. And I find it interesting because I see it directly links to the things that are going on in with the Somali fraud. This is a political agenda here. These people, they think they're getting rich now off of our tax-paying dollars, and they think they're sitting high on the hog. But little do they know they're simply being used. They're being used for political gain, for political transformation of our country, and then they'll be thrown away like yesterday's garbage. So we all got to get clear on what freedom of religion means in American culture so that we can preserve our American culture. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Take advantage of all the 25 different products that we have on for buy one, get one right now. You want to build up your arsenal, get yourself some aloe, get yourself some minerals, get yourself some mood uplift, and even some omega gummies, which we talked about, using those for kids, which is a wonderful way because they like to take gummies and they taste great. All the things. So over 25 products available that are 2 for 1 at naturallyinspiredstore.com. If you have any questions at all, just text me 720-303-8868. All right, let's get into some news because, well, all this craziness is going on, right? And our heads are spinning. My head's spinning. Man, I did not know where to start today. I'm like, but this was really on my heart. The whole religion thing is really on my heart. I'm like, man, there's a pattern of evil where particularly seems like, the evil likes to embed itself in what occurs naturally. I talk about it all the time when it comes to nature and our connection to the earth and our connection to like growing food and seeds and all of that. Like, this is what they do. This is what evil does, is they take what occurs naturally, like our connection to God, our spirituality, and they synthesize it into something else. And then they, corrupt it because evil can't create and evil's not pure. Evil takes what occurs, synthesizes it, turns it into something else. And I think that happens within churches, and especially these big monster churches that have turned into wealth machines. Like, is this a church or is this a dominating business? I mean, we're talking about owning, higher institutions like schools, buildings, real estate, private equity firms, and these are churches. Scientology too. Like Scientology, they own all this property. I think they're the number one land owner, property owner in California. It's a business plan. You know, you get all these people into it and they fund it. And then, you know, it's just, I don't know. Something feels off here. Something feels really off here. All right, let's get into the news, though, because there's some top stories. While all this craziness is going on, the wheels are turning on health, and it's very important that we keep our eye on the ball here, because I have told you for quite some time now, it felt like to me that Make America Healthy Again, the MAHA movement, you know, it started out as one thing. There was a lot of people on board of it, you know, a lot of natural practitioners, a lot of, you know, anti-vaxxers, dare I say anti-vaxxers. That's such a funny term to me. But, you know, there's all these different people that came on board with MAHA. And then unfortunately, we had a little bit of a split, you know, and we had people like Casey and Callie Means surface where, you know, they're involved in a lot of wearable technology when it comes to health. And of course, people like me and and a lot of other people had a little skepticism here because we're concerned about the data collection on these wearables. So we have another camp that's all into like mRNA technology and transhumanism and gene manipulation and all that stuff. So I suppose the wearables is a little better than the transhuman stuff. I don't know. I don't like any of it. You know, I mean, great if you want to wear a wearable, you know, I have a Fitbit. I don't wear it all the time, right? But I don't sleep in it. I use it when I work out. I use it, you know, throughout the day. Sometimes I wear it, sometimes I don't. I definitely don't subscribe to the app or anything like that. And I don't even put any of my information really into it. Because we don't know what they're doing with any of that data. We don't know what they're doing with any of that data. And we need some accountability on that. Anyway, listen to Marty McCary talk about the future of wearables, health technology.
Good morning, Sue. You know, companies want predictability, and we have an AI revolution. We can't be behind things. We have to be proactive. We want to let companies know very clear guidance that if their device or software is simply providing information, that they can do that without FDA regulation. The only stipulation is that if they make claims of something being medical grade, like a clinically appropriate clinical grade blood pressure measurement. We don't want people changing their medicines based on something that's just a screening tool or an estimate of a physiologic parameter. The industry wants clear guidance. Markets like predictability. Investors want predictability, and that's what.
Gosh, your health is so intertwined with the stock market, right? Like your health is a commodity, right? This is a business. This is a business. And we have a hard time separating our health from business because, you know, we just want to feel good. We just want to be healthy. And we don't necessarily directly tie our pharmaceutical prescriptions to the stock market. We don't tie our health to the stock market, but we should. But we should, because if we did, then we would see ourselves for what we are, which is a consumer of health. We're the consumer in that model. And so when you're the consumer, well, I'm going to ask a few questions, and I'm not going to feel like I shouldn't ask the questions. If I come into my doctor's office as a consumer, much like when I buy a vehicle or, you know, something from a salesperson, that's the attitude you need to go in there with, because you are the customer. You are the consumer. And gosh, it just annoys me every time we're talking about health. We're talking about, they got the stock market up there, telling you, oh, it's going up, you know? And so that's the split between MAHA, right? There was this, you know, group of influencers that just so happened to stay really quiet about the vaccine too, which was kind of annoying, right? The Casey and Callie Means people, and so many others, they really decided to button the lip when it came to the vaccine, right? They weren't going to give their opinion on the vaccine. They just weren't. And they're all attached. A lot of them are attached to this company that develops technology wearables. And yeah, it's a great tool, right? But what are you doing with that data, and what protections do we have? Because, going into a social credit, carbon credit, craziness, which that's my next story that I tell you, my mind is just crazy today with everything that's going on. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's so important, because a social credit score could easily be attached to your carbon consumption score, that can be attached straight to your finances. This is just a lot of power that we're handing over. Oh, you didn't take your pill. They have these pills now. They actually have a chip inside them, and they transmit back to, say, if you are, being court ordered to be on medication, it has a chip in it that alerts through an app whether you took your medication or not. They have these apps, these wearables that will send a signal to your practitioner, which is basically a chat bot, to tell you, oh, your blood pressure's up today. You better take a little bit more of your medication, or you better come in and change, And then all of that data, you guys, what happens, if there's another pandemic? There's all this data. Oh, you're at risk. You better get down here. You better get down here and get your injections. Get your kids in here to get the injection, or you don't have access to your bank account. And don't tell me that's ridiculous. That's not going to happen, because we've already seen it happen. We don't know the half of what has been weaponized politically against people during the Biden administration. We don't know the half of the death threats, the bank accounts that were closed from, names that these people had powerful positions maybe, but you don't know their names. And you don't know how the 3-letter agencies applied pressure to them, closed their bank accounts, made them social pariahs, ruined their lives. That was really happening. And that's why you hear people that are panicking over the primaries. We can't lose the primaries because, if we lose the primaries, that could be an indication that we're going to lose the election in 4 years. And then we're right back to this political persecution. And it's just going to go back and forth and back and forth, left to right, left to right. When does it end? That's why I'm done with it. I'm done with the politics. I'm just done with it. It is the latest story. It's this side, that side. We've really got to focus on us. How's your family doing? What kind of results are you getting in your life with your health? What's happening with you? Let's see how we can improve our lives, right? And then our actions will shape the culture in the country. So the wearables, we got to be very leery of them. They're very tempting, right? Because they give you straight data, so it makes you feel good. If I'm on a run, I'm taking my Fitbit because I want to know how fast I went. I want to know how long I went. I want all the data. So they're very tempting. They also help keep you on track when you are, trying to achieve goals for training or what have you. So they're very, very tempting. But we need something in place to protect our data on this. And suspiciously, nobody's talking about how we're going to protect the data. How are we going to protect the data? Can we have that conversation, please? How are we protecting people's data moving forward with this advancement in technology? Stay tuned, everybody. I'll tell you what Elon's up to next. Well, I guess just technology in general. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Listen, did you know a lot of people have education? They know a little bit about what they should be doing, in terms of the way they should be eating, maybe, and what supplements they should be taking. Maybe they need a little guidance. I don't know, but we're here for it. You can work with me. All you have to do is schedule a free assessment at naturallyinspiredstore.com, and you and I'll sit down and we'll come up with a path forward for you on your optimum health journey. Excuse me. 720-303-8868. If you have any questions, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. I had a tickle in my throat there. If you have any questions about scheduling an assessment or anything, just text me 720-303-8868. I think we have plenty of room in the naturally inspired community. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing, is just that support that you need on your optimum health journey. So get started. It's a new year, 2026. Make it a great one. Okay, so next story I want to talk about today is this Moonshot podcast, which I have some clips, but I'm going to actually bring them tomorrow because we just don't have enough time to get through all of them. But I do want to talk about something in sections here, because Elon was on the Moonshot podcast, and this is if you really want to know what's going on in technology, this is a great place to tune into, along with a lot of the biotech journals to really see what they're doing with technology. It's a great place to tune into to see what's going on. Couple of things here. So Elon says in this podcast, and I'll bring these clips tomorrow, we're about 3 years away from all surgeries being done by Optimus, which is, of course, a robot. So about 3 years away from that. Right now, today, he said if they could launch everything that they wanted to launch, 50% of jobs in healthcare would be gone. 50%. So they have that right now. 50%. So healthcare is definitely changing, and changing fast. The other things that he was talking about was they're talking about energy, and that really is the thing that is holding back the development of artificial intelligence. And so this is so interesting to me, because he makes a few comments where I'm just like, oh my gosh, this really lines up. The most important thing when it comes to energy is the sun, right? And he makes that very clear. And he is looking at developing, ways to make energy through the use of the sun. Then we have Bill Gates over here who wants to dim the sun. So that's an interesting connection. But also, he just casually mentions that the currency of the future is going to be wattage. The currency of the future so the money of the future, the currency of the future will be wattage, meaning how do you produce wattage? Because it's like, this just creates like the most dystopian image in my mind from all the sci-fi movies I've seen over the course of my entire life, right? Where people have become batteries. You know, somehow we are have to be generating wattage to be of value, to feed the beast, if you will, of the artificial intelligence technology revolution. Because everything is going to require energy. Pushing out as much of, things. It's just so bizarre when you think about it, right? Like, we have all these wonderful things here on Earth, right? I mean, the mountains, the ocean, the soil that grows for us, right? Trees, birds, animals, like it's a garden. And yet it's not good enough. And we are creating a synthetic world in a natural world that aims to capture our consciousness completely. To the point that, I mean, just wrap your head around this. You're living on a planet, a natural planet. You're living on the world inside of like a metaverse. You know, you could just like actually live on the land, but you're creating a whole new metaverse to live in, a synthetic version. Do you see the pattern here? Keep in mind that evil can't create, right? Evil has to corrupt what occurs naturally, synthesize it, and then call it its own. Do you see the irony here? It's very strange. It's very, very strange. But, and then historically, when Elon said that about the sun is everything, well, then you go back to Egyptian times when they worshiped the sun, right? The god of Ra. And it's like, man, this is deja vu. We have the same battles going on in the modern world. And it's like we were tricked into thinking that we kind of evolved past a lot of this stuff. These holy wars, this control by the church, right? This persecution for doing the right thing. Upside down world, right? The collapse of societies of the past. Like, these were the problems. The gluttony, right? And here we are, what's going on? We're super consumers, We make things that don't last on purpose. Well, I believe it's on purpose. Your fridge will last like 3 years now, Your grandma's fridge, she had it for like 40, 50 years. It's this acceleration of consumption that drives our economy. Gosh, it's just, the only thing, the only phrase that comes to mind is like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And so many people have said to me, yeah, this, I think we all feel it intuitively, because so many people say, we just got to get back to basics. Like, we need to get back to basics. This is craziness. We got to get back to basics. Yeah, we need to get back to nature. We really need to get back to nature. And I'll bring you more. I mean, tomorrow, tomorrow's show, I think, will just be kind of a continuation of today's show. Because like I told you, like, all this stuff that's going on, I didn't really know where to start today. But I want to add to a lot of these topics. So tomorrow we'll cover that a little bit more. But I also wanted to bring you this clip because I thought it was Well, just play it and we'll talk about it.
Orthopedics is by far the most corrupt form of medicine. Oncology is next. Orthopedics are routinely consultants for device companies. And so the choice of the device that is in your body is often determined by the amount of money that one company will pay them in order to choose that device. You should know the manufacturer of the device inside of you because there are recalls. Many people never heard that their hip needed to get pulled out of them because their doctor just simply didn't tell them. You need to know this stuff. If you have a loved one who goes to the hospital, you need a Cerebus at the gate. You have to have someone with you all the time asking questions. One of my favorite studies in medicine was surveying doctors about their patients, about who they liked and who they didn't like. And the patients that were disliked the most by doctors and nurses had the highest survival numbers. So when you go to the hospital, don't try to be friends with everybody. This is your health. You need to fight for it, and you need someone there fighting for it.
I love that because I meet with so many of you on a daily basis, and a lot of you have drawn that line in the sand with your practitioner, with your doctor. It used to be, when I would meet with people, they would say, well, I have to do that because my doctor said, my doctor has me on this and my doctor has me on that. My doctor said, and my doctor loves me, and I have a great relationship with my doctor, and but I got to do what they say, and now I hear more often, definitely more often, my doctor knows I'm not going to be doing that. My doctor knows how I feel about X, Y, or Z. And they're not liking it because they used to have blind, they had people just with blind trust, just trusting them. And that has changed dramatically. So it's good. But, when you do have to access the medical model, because we all do at times, you need to have advocacy there. You really do. Otherwise, your wishes will not be protected. And I think we want our nobody doesn't want to be liked, but when it comes to your health, it's your body. It's your body, and you know it best. You know it best, and it's time to reclaim that confidence in what you know about your own health. You've been living in that body, chances are, a number of decades at this point, probably, if you're listening to this show. You've been living in that body a while. Who else is better qualified to communicate its needs? You. That's it. Stay tuned because the health topic's coming up, and we're going to be talking about healthy fats. Because there's been kind of some confusion around healthy fats. What do they do? Why do you need them? You need more than you think. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is Naturally Inspired Radio.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
Visit the Naturally Inspired store. Get yourself some buy one, get one free. Check out Pick Your Protocol. There's over 25 buy one, get one free products. And there are several protocols that we have curated just for, simplicity. And all the protocols, you get free shipping. And of course, every time as soon as you become a customer of Naturally Inspired, you get my health text line access, priority access to that for one-on-one coaching through my text line. You get Tuesday night weekly wellness workshops where we talk about a different health topic every week. Yesterday we talked about weight loss and some ideology that you might not have heard before around weight loss, right? A lot of times we think of just deprivation when it comes, just cut your calories, eat less. It's not really that, it's not that cut and dry. So we talk about those types of topics and how you can take personal responsibility for your health. And so much more as well. So those Tuesday night calls are growing and shaping into a wonderful community. So come and join us. If you have any questions, just text me 720-303-8868. Otherwise, visit naturallyinspiredstore.com. All right, I'm going to talk about fat today because I was talking about this, I think, on a couple of different shows recently. But I was talking about the fraudulent study, and I've covered this several times, the fraudulent study about Alzheimer's and how, the theory of amyloid plaque has really set us back in terms of research when it comes to dementia and Alzheimer's. The fraudulent study indicated that the cause or the however you look at it, whether it's the result or whatever. But anyway, amyloid plaque in the brain is what was determined to cause Alzheimer's symptoms. And it turned out that study was actually fraudulent. And I've covered that several times. So, but for those of you that are new here, so the research, we're way behind. Like we've spent a lot of time on the amyloid plaque theory and developed, of course, medications based on this. And turns out that the Alzheimer's medications, of course, they don't work because the study was fraudulent. And that's not really what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on diet and exercise are the most powerful things. Right now, that's what we have. Diet and exercise when it comes to Alzheimer's or dementia. Now, it's interesting because we have, an increasing population with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, dementia, or cognitive decline. And we have just been through a few decades here, handful of decades of like non-fat, fat-free, high carbohydrate food pyramid that was bought and paid for that suggests, multiple servings of processed carbohydrates every day over smaller servings of protein. And of course, stay away from fat. So we still have, I think it's changing, and we're due to get a new food pyramid, which will, make an impact, but it's going to take a lot of time for that. I still think that people they're still a little afraid of fat. They understand that they should be cooking in things like butter and coconut oil and avocado oil and that those are healthy fats. But as far as like portion size when it comes to fat, I think people are still under eating fat because there's this kind of hesitation that fat makes you fat. And that's not true, right? Fat actually triggers satiety and makes you eat less. Okay. So here are 7 reasons you need healthy fats today. Number 1, hormone production depends on fat. So do you ever notice like how everybody's hormones always seem like they're out of whack? Right? Like, it must be a hormone problem that I can't lose weight, or it's a hormone problem, like low T, all these different like diagnoses of hormone issues. Healthy fats are the building blocks of hormones. That includes estrogen, that includes progesterone, that includes testosterone, that includes cortisol, which also, when it comes to hormones, we tend to isolate them, right? Like, oh, I'm low in estrogen. I'll just supplement with estrogen and then I fix the problem. That's not really how it works. It's about the balance of hormones a lot of times, right? So you have to set the stage for healthy hormones and let the body respond. Get the body to respond and get back into balance when it comes to hormones. Cortisol's not all bad, right? We need cortisol in the morning to wake us up, right? If we're getting too much cortisol because we're in constant fight or flight mode, well, then that's another issue, right? It's time to support the nervous system. It's time to implement lifestyle practices that, regulate cortisol. So low-fat diets lead to hormone imbalance. They lead to irregular cycles. They lead to low libido. They lead to fatigue. No fat equals no raw material for hormones. Okay? Number 2, your brain is made of mostly fat. When you think about that and you think about Alzheimer's and you think about, all the fat-free products that they pumped out into the marketplace for years, gets a little mad. It makes you a little mad because the brain is made of fat. About 60% of brain is fat. Healthy fats support your memory. They support focus. They support mood stability and, of course, nervous system regulation. Omega-3s are especially critical for mental clarity, for reduced anxiety, for neuroprotection. Number 3, fat stabilizes blood sugar. So meals with healthy fat slow glucose absorption. It reduces insulin spikes. It increases satiety, right? So there isn't this deprivation cycle of having to deprive yourself from food when you eat to satiety. So this helps prevent cravings. It helps with energy crashes because it's a very consistent burn. And it also improves insulin resistance. Fat keeps your metabolism calm and steady. What else? Vitamins A, D, E, and K require fat. These are fat-soluble vitamins. They cannot be absorbed without fat. So without enough dietary fat, vitamin D stays low, calcium can misfire, immune function weakens, bone and skin health suffer. Eating fat is how vitamins actually work. So even a lot of the supplementation that I recommend, I say, take it with food. Make sure that you have fat in your meal when you're taking them because it helps the body process them better and put them, get them absorbed and then put them to use. Number 5, fat builds strong cell membranes. So every cell membrane is a lipid. It's a lipid. And it's a bilayer. Healthy fats improve nutrient transport. They improve detox pathways, cellular communication, the way our cells communicate with one another. And it also helps inflammation. I always like to paint a picture of if you have inflammation in the body, right? At a cellular level, you have inflammation. And you want to build a mental picture on this. If inflammation, it's fiery. Right? It's red, it's hot, it's fiery. If you want to think of a mental picture, ultra processed foods, carbohydrates, breads, pastas, that's like pouring lighter fluid. Sugar, it's pouring lighter fluid on the inflammation. Whereas proteins and healthy fats are smothering the fire. They actually put the inflammation out. Okay? So, poor fats equal leaky, inflamed, dysfunctional cells. So fat is a great inflammation control. Fat also supports the nervous system. So, Healthy fats, they insulate the nerves, they improve your vagus nerve signaling, they support a calm, rest, and digest state. And this is why low-fat diets often increase anxiety, they increase irritability, they contribute to mood swings, they cause sleep issues, because fat is calming to the nervous system. Number 7 is fat signals safety and satisfaction. So when you eat fats, when you consume fats, when you get enough fats like omega-3s into your body, fat tells your body, okay, we're nourished and we're safe. So this reduces things like the urge to overeat. It supports emotional eating, right? When you're satisfied, it's hard to push past that satiety response and overeat. So it automatically controls kind of that emotional eating. Also, stress-driven hunger. Healthy fats help restore trust between your brain and your body. So where do you get healthy fats, right? Pasture-raised butter, organic butter, olive oil, of course. Get olive oil in a glass bottle. Get it cold pressed. Get it organic. Avocados are a wonderful source. Eggs with the yolks, right? Remember how like all these diets, I think back to all these diets, it's like, oh my gosh, how much our diet contributed to our disease epidemic today. It's almost everything. Yeah, we're dealing with toxins, but if we were feeding our bodies correctly and giving it the raw materials it needs to express health, we wouldn't be so vulnerable to all the toxicity that we have in the world. Not that we shouldn't be pressing back against that, because of course we should, but it's the perfect storm here, nutrient deficiency and being exposed to all the toxins that we are exposed to. It's just a recipe for what we're living today, which is like 76% of the American population is dealing with some form of chronic disease. Way too high. Way too high. So, egg whites. Yeah, make yourself an egg white omelet. No, eat the yolks. Good Lord, please eat the yolks. Of course, you want to get good quality sourced beef and good quality sourced dairy, organic if you can get it. Fatty fish doesn't always have to be salmon. Salmon's hard to come by these days with a lot of the farm fish salmon. Sardines are the smaller fish are a great source of fat. And they don't carry a lot of toxicity in them because they're so small. They can't. They're just tiny. So little fatty fish like sardines are good, anchovies as well. And then coconut oil is another one. Of course, things like walnuts, pumpkin seeds, olives. These are all great sources of healthy fats. You want to stay away from those industrial seed oils, right? The soy, the corn, the canola, hydrogenated fats, highly processed, low-fat foods. Get yourself the very best omegas you can. Get them at the Naturally Inspired store. Our omega-3s are like none other. They're pharmaceutical grade. They are fantastic. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We also will be back tomorrow. This is Naturally Inspired Radio.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio. Save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.